Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Amsterdam Talk Season 4, Episode 10. I finally get the numbers right. Episode 10. Like I told you last week, we went all the way to our neighboring territory on top of North America, well, the United States. So we all the way going to Calgary today. So we bringing in Miss Alicia today. How you doing, Miss Alicia?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Before we get started, tell us a bit about yourself.
Ooh, about myself.
Yeah,
Okay.
like what you do, things of that nature.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm Alicia. I'm 31 years old. I am a mind body mentor, but I used to be a chemical engineer. It's a really big shift that I made from engineering to helping people heal, but I did that because of my own experience. I had depression for about 5 years, and I struggled for a really long time trying to heal and just trying everything that I could find, and like nothing was working for me. So now I just help other people so they don't have to struggle for as long as I did, because once I found what worked for me, it was actually very quick that I healed. So yeah, that's pretty much the main reason why I switched from one to the other, but it's a longer story than that.
So that is awesome that you went from an engineer to a healer.
hmm
And I guess I should say, since you wanted to help people out, I mean, it kind of changed things. So now we're doing the mind, body, mentoring, and that's your healing.
Theta healing, yeah.
Theta healing. Okay. So, I mean, I guess we should just get straight into it. So, why are so many people living with depression and anxiety on a daily basis?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say one of the main reasons is because most people are suppressing what they're feeling or distracting from what they're feeling. And in a lot of ways, people actually think what they're doing is helping them. So they're like trying to change external things in their life so that they don't feel as sad anymore or that they don't feel as anxious anymore. And they actually think that that is helping them. And I went through the same process myself. Like, okay, I feel depressed. Maybe I should just move, or maybe I should just force myself to like try to find new friends, or, like people will just try to do stuff like that, but they don't realize it's actually putting ice cream on top of poop. Like, you're not
Right.
actually welcoming what you're feeling, dissolving the emotions. You're just kind of distracting from them. So, the root cause that I have found for depression is stuck energy, which just means emotions that you're holding on to that you never processed, and they're still in your body because they didn't go anywhere. And you don't want to feel them because obviously they're very dense and they're very heavy and you don't want to feel it. So they just kind of stay in your body because you're not really welcoming them with love and compassion. So that was like a whole thing that I had to go through, where even when I thought I was trying to heal, everything I was doing, it was like to make my pain go away. It was still in rejection of I shouldn't be feeling this way, or something is wrong with me, or I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel hopeless. It was still a rejection. So like what you resist persists. So that's why I think most people have depression and anxiety, is just they don't really know how to process their emotions, and then they just kind of stay stuck in their body.
Okay, so I like that, you can't resist to persist. I like that. So you say people suppress it. So I mean, as far as like just mentally when suppressing, when we actually say people go out and use like,
Mhm.
I guess like drugs or alcohol and things like that. So they basically suppress it for that short period of time. But once that high comes down, everything is still there. So how do you explain to somebody with your healing, with the things you're doing in healing about, using substance abuse for it?
Yeah, so if we're specifically talking about like a quote like bad habit that they're doing, what I tell people is actually to have more compassion and self-love for yourself that you're doing that. Because if you're shaming yourself and making yourself wrong, oh, there I go, I drank again to distract, or I got high again to distract. If you make yourself wrong for something, you're actually in this really low consciousness of shame, which is the lowest consciousness on the human scale of consciousness. So then it takes effort for you to stop doing that thing. You literally have to force yourself, you have to try really hard, and it's very hard for people to maintain. They maybe could just like not drink for a little while and then they just go back to it. Versus if you're like, okay, you know what? It's okay that you did that today, Alicia. I know you're feeling really sad and you just thought that this would make you feel better. So it's okay. I forgive you. I love you. That brings you into the consciousness of love, which is really high. And then when you're in that consciousness, it is very natural for you to do loving and nurturing things for yourself. So you will actually find that eventually, being in that consciousness for a long period of time, you don't even feel like doing things that are harmful to your body. You like don't crave foods that are unhealthy. You don't want to drink as much. If you do, you actually feel really sick. You feel really shitty.
Hmm.
And it's actually very easy to maintain when you do it that way. And most people don't do it that way. They just try to shame themselves and be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But then it's just so hard to stop doing it.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought that up because people don't understand, overeating is another way of suppressing things as well.
Yes,
Because
yes.
a lot of people just think like, oh, I'm just eating, but sometimes you're eating just to hide the pain. So,
Mhm.
um, have you ever talked to somebody who just overate?
Yes, that happens a lot. And there's a few things I tell people like that. If you can pause right before you eat, like, okay, this is what I tell people, okay? It's really hard to stop something
Right.
when you're going down a hill. Imagine a car going down a hill. It's really hard to stop a car while it's going down the hill. It's really easy to stop it at the bottom, really easy to stop it at the top, okay? So when you're in the middle of something, allow yourself to do it. If you're already binge eating, if you're already drinking, if you're already whatever, allow yourself to do it and love yourself anyways, okay? But then when you're done, or beforehand, there's things you can do that will shift this. Okay. So we already talked about what you could do at the end, which
Hmm.
is have compassion for yourself for doing it. Okay. But if you're able to pause right before, like right before you eat, like, hey, body, how you feeling? Are you even hungry right now? If you are, I'll nurture you. I'll give you what you want. Just like checking in first. Like, are you even hungry? Or are
Right.
you just bored or something, or emotionally eating? That pause makes a difference because you're already actually moving energy when you just bring awareness.
Hmm.
And then you might even be able to make a different conscious choice because you paused first. And you're more aware now. Oh, I realize I'm eating now because I'm bored or because of this and that, instead of just doing it unconsciously.
Right. Okay. So when you say like pause, and most people say
Mhm.
you're just going to stop, like, are there certain things you do during this pause period?
Yeah. Yeah. So I pause and I bring more awareness to my body and what I'm feeling and what I'm noticing. So if you could just be like, hey, what am I feeling right now? You don't even need to actually be able to put a word to it. It could just be, I feel kind of contracted right now. Do you feel expanded or do you feel contracted? You can just start with that. There's so many different ways to bring awareness to what you're feeling. You could try to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. You could be like, do I feel any discomfort in my body right now? And does that feeling have like a temperature or anything? The answer to these questions means absolutely nothing. The point of asking these questions is to bring more awareness to what you're feeling instead of less, instead of distract, instead of I'm going to eat so I don't feel this. Instead, we're going to feel the energy so that you no longer feel the need to eat in order to distract from this energy. You'll realize, oh, when I actually go into it and welcome it, it moves. And there isn't anything to fear. And I don't have to cover it up with food or any other form of distraction. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So you say, what are the fastest, most powerful forms of healing that you have found?
Yeah. So right now I'm currently using for myself and my clients the fastest forms that I've found. But I'm always open to learning new ways, but this is just what I found. So mind body medicine is all about expanding your consciousness. So essentially what that means is like, the saying by Einstein, the solution doesn't exist in the same frequency as where the problem got
Hmm.
created. So that's what we're doing in mind body medicine is this thing that's showing up in your life that's unwanted, this illness or lack of money or relationships, it's in a certain consciousness. So what we
Hmm.
do is we get you into a higher consciousness where that problem no longer exists or where the solution exists. That's what mind body medicine is. So I have found that to be one of the fastest ways of healing because you're literally just coming into a new consciousness where the problem doesn't exist. A lot of the times the problem just goes away for me when I shift my consciousness. Sometimes there isn't a physical thing needed. Sometimes there is a physical thing needed, but it doesn't show up in my life until I shift my consciousness. So that's why I found it to be one of the fastest forms. And then theta
Well,
healing. Oh no, go ahead, sir. No, you can go.
No, no,
You
no,
want
no,
me to
no.
finish?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Theta healing
Finish.
is
Finish.
a new form that I have recently been studying because I found it's very similar to mind body medicine, but it's even faster. So, theta healing is like you're getting into a really slow brainwave state, the same state you're in for the first 7 years of your life, where you're very susceptible to programming. So, it is so
Mhm.
easy when you're in that state for us to pull and cancel limiting beliefs, download new programs into your subconscious mind. But it's very different from hypnosis, because in hypnosis, the client needs to get into a theta brainwave state. They need to be able to relax. They need to be able to slow down for it to work. But in theta healing, only the practitioner needs to get into a theta brainwave state. And this might sound really confusing to the people on this call, but you essentially connect with your client in the seventh plane of existence, and then you can program their subconscious mind. So it's so easy. The client has to do nothing. They just sit there and they just have to give permission for everything. And you can say no, you can say yes. So I have just found it to be one of the most fastest ways, because you're essentially connecting with creation energy, where you're allowed to ask for anything that doesn't harm another person or go against someone's free will. And you just have to witness it to completion. Because in the quantum physics world, it talks about how like nothing exists without conscious awareness, or at least things react differently if someone's observing it or witnessing it. So in this or how would you call it? Third plane of existence that
Mhm.
we're in, nothing would actually exist here without it being witnessed or observed. So that's what theta healing is. We like ask for the healing and then we witness it until it's completed. And then it actually was completed here physically in the third plane. So it sounds kind of confusing for most people, but it's like seriously one of the fastest forms of healing, that it's like almost the only thing I use now.
Well, yeah, it does sound confusing, but I understood. So my thing is this: you said your first 7 is this your first 7 years of life you're being programmed, or you're being programmed when you're actually going through this phase that you were just talking about?
No, so what I was trying to say is ages 1 to 7, you're in a theta brainwave state a majority of the time. So
Mhm.
that is just where you were very susceptible to your programming. So we're just getting you into a very similar brainwave state that you were in when you were a child, so that it's easy
Okay.
to reprogram your mind. So we're still doing everything here in the now. But yeah, it does actually sometimes involve we go to the point of where you took on this belief, which could have been in childhood or in
Mhm.
a past life. So sometimes, yeah, we do need to go back in time, but time is really not even real. Like there really is only the now, and you can access it all in the now, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. So basically, what I got was that you actually deprogram and you deprogramming a person to reprogram them to where they want to be at now. So, I think
Yes.
the question I had that you were stating, that you talk about blocking it out from your subconsciousness. I think that's what you said. So that is kind of hard for people to do, to block their subconsciousness out, because it's always there. And me personally, I know how I actually operate and how I'm wired. There's always going to be what I'm about to do versus what can happen. What can happen? What if I miss this step? How can I counter this step? What if I got to go back this way? And how can I go back this way? So that's just how I'm wired. I'm always looking at what's coming, what can happen, and
Mhm.
what actually happened at this time. So, like,
Mhm,
how
mhm.
could you deprogram me?
Okay, can you give me a specific example? Like, I'm confused by your question. So, like, if I'm trying to say, like, if you had a limiting belief, like, you
Right.
know that you have some super limiting belief, like, I'm not worthy of love, for example. We can just
Okay.
go into a theta brainwave state, pull that belief, and then replace it with, I know I'm worthy of love. I know how to live my daily life
Mhm.
knowing I'm worthy of love. I know what it feels like to be worthy of love. These are programs that some people just have those programs and operate that way on a daily basis. We can give you that.
Right. Well, but then you have it like you're pulling out that you can't be loved versus I know I can be loved. But then you have individuals who were born on survival and not love. How are you able to program that in when they know, like, I was raised on survival, not raised on love?
Yeah, so that's still a belief, and they're carrying it on one of four levels or all four levels. So there's There's the core level, the genetic level, the history level, and the soul level. This is
Okay.
like the levels that we carry beliefs. So core level is you learned it in this lifetime. So if you started off in this lifetime and it was really tough for you and you just had to survive, you took on certain beliefs.
Hmm.
Maybe it's ancestral, like passed down to you through your genetics. History is if it's been more than 7 generations and it's just passed down in your DNA. Like maybe your family had to do all these things to survive. That's in your DNA. You already had those beliefs before you came here. And then
Right.
soul level is just like things that in your soul you just like believe are true. So what we would have to do is we'd have to pull it from the level that it's on, and it could be on all four. And it's literally as simple as that. You no longer believe it anymore unless you think it's serving you. Then we have to do some what we call belief work. We have to give you certain knowings so that you know, oh, I'm not living that way anymore. It's not true anymore. That is over and complete, and you know that cellularly. And then you're like, oh, that belief's not serving me anymore. I actually am ready to let it go. And then we pull it. If you try to pull it when the person's like, no, I'm still using this, it actually won't work. So we have to do some other stuff before that.
Okay. So if I tell you, am I, well, I don't, this never happened, but what if I told you, like, I survived Gozard in 1988? I mean, it's a Ghostbuster reference that I signed Gozard. How can you pull that out that that I've actually did not fight the State Puff Marshmallow Man? Like,
So we would have to actually put these downloads back in time, and we would have to make sure you knew what you knew back then. And then we have to teach you now that that is over and complete.
okay, all right, I got it. So now
Mhm.
back to like, so I guess that we all went through the root, how you get to the root of the cause. But actually, you had a video that I'm very intrigued that you had put on your YouTube channel when you
Mhm.
talked about individuals that's always the victim, that want to play the
Mhm.
victim. How do you get people to not play the victim and actually hold themselves accountable? Like, I am the reason why this actually happened.
Yeah.
I'm not the damn victim in this. I've been victimizing people this whole time. How do you get that? Get people to recognize that?
So it is something that is really hard for people to receive. If you try to take their experience away from them, it doesn't help them. If you try to tell them, "Hey, you created it," it's not gonna land well for them. You need compassion for someone who's gone through an experience like that and actually truly feels like they were a victim. Life did happen to me because they didn't know back then, and maybe they still don't know their power to shift their life.
Hmm.
So, like, they felt completely powerless and out of control, and, like, they literally had no choice, so they feel like they were a victim, and that was their experience. So we can't take it away from them, and we have to have compassion for them because that's what dissolves it. And some people I find are ready to be like, "Okay, you know what? Yes, I experienced it this way, but I do wanna learn. Is there actually the power within me to create something different? Like, I didn't know it then, but I'd like to learn it now." And there's some people that are like, they won't even let themselves learn that it's possible because then they would feel like they should have done it sooner, and that's so hard for them to feel that they could have done it differently,
Hmm.
that I find some people are not ready to let it in just yet. And so those are not usually the people that would resonate with this work or be ready for it just yet. If they want to anchor in, no, this thing happened to me. It's just the way it is. I have no power. Don't you get it? This is harder for me because of this. You're just going to stay in that consciousness and keep seeing that over and over until you're like, I'm sick of it and I'm willing to try anything. And if that means that I need to change my perspective, I'm ready to change my perspective.
Okay. So, how do we know what's really underneath our pain, anxiety, or chronic illness and get awareness of what our body's really telling us?
Yeah. So if you receive every trigger that's showing up in your life, meaning everything that makes you feel discomfort of some sort,
Hmm.
and you actually received it every single time, which means I'm going to welcome it. I'm going to bring awareness to it instead of distract. That's what I mean by that.
Hmm.
You could actually clear the energies that are causing the illness, the anxiety, the depression, the physical illness, whatever, without ever having to know what the message was that your body was trying to tell you. I see that all the time, that like if you move the energy, you dissolve the root cause without ever understanding what it was. It's also possible that the awareness is what helps you heal. That this
Okay.
thing is showing up in your life to show you something like, hey, stop abandoning yourself, right? Let's use the example of chronic fatigue syndrome, for example. A lot of people that get chronic fatigue syndrome, it's because your body took energy away from you so that you would stop putting energy into things that don't serve you. You stop abandoning your body. You stop overworking yourself. You stop giving to others while depleting yourself. That type of thing. So I see that all the time, that people that do that for such a long period of time and they don't listen to their body, then they get chronic fatigue syndrome and then they have no energy to do anything because their body's actually trying to tell them the message, hey, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm never going to give up on you. I'm going to make sure that you don't keep doing this to the point where you get super, super sick. So I'm just going to make it that you don't have the energy to do that anymore. So sometimes having that awareness is like, oh, okay, now that I know I'm doing that, I'm not going to abandon myself to the same degree. And if it's important for you to know the message, you'll know the message. You'll either know it yourself or somebody will be able to tell you. And if you don't need to know the message, you you won't know the message. Like, you are always sourced and you'll have what you need. So don't freak out if you're like, I don't understand the message my body's trying to tell me. I need to understand the message in order to heal. You don't actually need to know.
Well, the message can be actually, subdued itself. But your body, one thing I know about the body, it's going to say, you ignored this message. Now I'm really going to make you sit down.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just completely just can't move. It's like you become paralyzed in yourself, like, I just can't move today because
Right.
you just ran past that message and ran past that message and ran past that message, whereas though you didn't take time out for yourself. So once that happens, how do you actually perceive that message once the body already took made you actually sit down?
Mhm. So that's the let's just say that's the good thing about it. I know it doesn't seem like it's a good thing, but it the cranking it up louder, the, "Oh, you can't even do anything now because you abandoned and you didn't listen," is
Mhm.
actually a good thing because you're indirectly getting exactly what your body needs because you're slowing down now. You don't have energy. You can't do anything anymore. You can't
Right.
abandon yourself. Even if you wanted to abandon yourself, you can't. You have zero energy. So that's kind of the good thing about it. I know it doesn't seem like a good thing. I don't know if that answers your question. So, but you're right
No,
though,
it
like
doesn't.
it will show up subtle first. It will be like, oh, I just have a ton of back pain because I've been working all day. Or it's like, it's just showing up so subtle first and you didn't listen, you didn't listen, you didn't listen. And only then does it turn into something really serious when you just didn't really listen for a long period of time. But I see that as your body never giving up on you rather than this really bad thing that happened to you.
So, have you ever ignored the message yourself?
Yes.
And what was the outcome?
Oh my god. I mean, I used to abandon myself in every area of my life. Health, relationships, career. So the outcome of me abandoning myself was getting depression, anxiety, health concerns, lack of close connections, in a job I hate. Everything. Everything sucked by me abandoning the subtle messages. My body was trying to tell me, "Hey, like, you don't want to be in a relationship like this. You don't want to be in a job like this." Or my body was trying to tell me, hey, actually, like, welcome your emotions instead of suppressing them and distracting or just trying to go into another relationship so you don't have to feel what you're feeling or distract yourself with work so you don't have to feel what you're feeling. Like, I wasn't listening to any of those messages. I didn't know any other way to do it other than, okay, I feel like shit. So let me just try to change my outer circumstances. Let me try to get another boyfriend. Let me try to get a different job, whatever. And eventually it didn't work anymore. It never worked, but it was just really clear that it wasn't creating peace. So only then was I like, okay, body, what are you trying to tell me?
Mm.
You know?
So, what are some of the common manifestation blocks that you've seen?
Yeah, there's a lot. Um, there's just a lot of limiting beliefs that people have about what's possible for them. They just think it's not possible. That's not how life works. It's not meant to be that easy, or it can't be easy for me because all I've ever seen is people struggling with this. I've been taught that this is just the way it is. You can't heal from this, this, and that. So limiting beliefs, main thing. Thinking you're not worthy of having that, you're not deserving of having that thing. Um, Thinking it can't happen in the timeline that you want it. So maybe you think I can have it, but it just can't happen right now, or it can't happen until this happens. There's just so many ideas like that. So I'll ask people, like, if you felt into having that thing in your life right now, I want you to just think about how you would feel, who's there with you, what would your friends think, what would your family think? And then you can start to actually figure out what the blocks are. Like, oh, I guess I can see myself having it, but I realize that my partner is not in this vision though. Like I don't think they would be there if I have this. Or I don't see my kids in this vision. So I just
Mm,
don't think I can have this vision while I have kids or whatever. Or my friends and family would like be judging me or like talking shit about me behind my back or not understand me. So, you just start to like figure out what it would be and what some of the blocks would be when you actually like visualize it and feel into it and ask yourself those questions.
okay. So once you do all that, and once we embrace, the body as it is, how does it assist, a physical healing, abundance, and love in our relationships?
Yeah. So the awareness in and of itself is actually what is dissolving the energy and shifting your consciousness. And when you're in a different consciousness, your reality and your physical body responds. So that is what already creates shifts in your health, shifts in your wealth, shifts in your relationships, shifts in everything. That's the simple answer is the awareness is the medicine. It's not, okay, I now have awareness. Now what do I do with the awareness? No. The awareness in and of itself is dissolving the energy. Your body
Mm,
knows how to transmute energy for you. Your body has three main functions because your body's actually energetic. It has an electromagnetic field. So you have three main functions to your energy body. You are a transmitter. So you're constantly giving off frequency, vibration, consciousness. Those are not exactly all the same thing, but you're emanating a frequency. You're also a receptor, which means you can feel the frequency of others. You can
hmm
tell when someone's upset without them ever having to say anything. We all have that ability. We're all receptors. And then you're a transmuter. Transmuter means your body already knows how to transmute energy, dissolve energy, release emotions. Your body already knows how to do it. The problem is we contract when we're upset, we resist, we shut down, we don't want to feel it. Now we've just held it in our body. When we get out of resistance, it can move. So, short answer
mm,
is awareness is the medicine.
okay. Well, I mean, it all sounds definitely great. So, um, I guess it's that time in the show where we go to our I be damn segment right now. So
Okay.
don't you off the hot seat. And most people, when they hear this, they like, yo, what the hell is going on? Where did you get this from? So anyway, she says, well, this is actually recent. We only in the 17th day of the year,
Mhm.
and this happened on day one of the year.
Okay.
And it's 2024 is the year of reckoning and a year of truth in my house. I married Danielle 15 years ago out of lust. There are four boys in this house: 13, 11, 9, and 6. And at the most, only two of them are mine. I spend more quality time and money on the two oldest boys because I know they're mine. I don't mistreat the other two. I'm just not interested in them.
Oh.
And I decided that I wouldn't financially support them either. If these kids aren't mine, they'll be Danielle's responsibility. I demanded paternity tests because as these kids grew older, I realized they're not mine. Looks,
Mhm.
mannerisms, their odd childhood illnesses. When I requested the paternity test last year, Danielle cried and threatened for divorce. I bought an at-home DNA kit anyway and tested the children. None of them were mine. I thought I did the test wrong, so I took the kids to a center to get tested. I am 0 for 4. None of the kids are mine. Danielle says I'm the only father. The kids have ever known, and it's my responsibility to care for them. She thinks the kids will suffer emotionally if I walk away. I believe it's time to cut this cheating whore and her little bastards loose and build a solo life that makes me happy. Is this the right thing to do? P.S. I haven't told the kids that I'm not their dad.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're asking what I would do if I was him?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, as someone who was a child of a divorced family, I'm going to say that parents staying together, that they're not in love, is very toxic to the
Hmm.
children. So, you're not actually benefiting the child by staying there, resenting taking care of them, resenting your wife. The household is filled with this. So when she's saying, "Oh, you can't walk away because you're going to traumatize the children," no, both are traumatizing for the children at this point, and everyone has the ability to heal. Even if a child goes through trauma, we all have the ability to heal. So, yeah, maybe they might have some abandonment wounds if you leave, but I had abandonment wounds. My father left, and I processed it, and I'm okay. And it actually really served me if you think about it. So, I would say this guy needs to honor himself. But what I would say is not to make a decision from a triggered state because he's super triggered right now.
Hmm.
If he could just process what he's feeling first, move through some of his resentment and anger, he can make the decision with total clarity. Like, you know what? I can't abandon myself and stay in this relationship. Or, you know what? I have love for this person. And maybe there's a way that I can stay in this relationship, but you only have clarity when you're not triggered. That's what I would say. But I would also say that honoring yourself benefits everyone. Abandoning yourself benefits nobody. So if you feel like staying in this relationship and taking care of these children is abandoning yourself, you're not serving the children or the wife. That's what I would say.
I mean, it's a lot to offer because you're 0 for 4. None of these children are yours. You've been married for 15 years, so there's been
Mhm.
a lot of outside things going on. So, it's a lot to break down. It's definitely a lot to break down, though.
I know it
Um,
can seem complicated, but if you choose to honor yourself and you know you deserve it, you're going to be sourced every step of the way, guided every step of the way on how can I do this that doesn't create chaos for everyone involved and chaos for myself. But it doesn't feel like it's serving him to stay in a relationship where there's like lies and all that kind of stuff, and there's probably a lot for him to heal within himself that he would even attract someone into his life that has been lying to him for this many years. Like he's carrying some stuff if he would attract someone like that. Unworthiness, shame, something. So yeah, I would really try to clear that stuff within myself so I don't attract another partner like that.
well, there you have it. It's another
Yeah.
episode of I'll Be Damned. But before, thank you for coming through, Miss Alicia. Thank you for
Mhm.
coming through. You're always welcome anytime you want to come on Amsterdam Talk to let us know about, your mind body healing processes or anything of that nature. But if somebody wanted to reach out to you to find out how they're able to subliminally submit to their subconsciousness and have it open up to understand what their body's trying to say, where can they reach you at?
You can find me on my website, which is aliciacapani.com, or you can find me on Instagram at alicia_capani. Those are the best places to find me, but I'm also on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook as well.
Okay. Y'all normally know that I never know what the hell is coming on next week until I look at my calendar. So this is what I'm going to do for y'all. This is something I've decided I'm going to do. I'm running down the next 3 shows. I know for a fact I have we missed the Haitian Revolution holiday on January 1st because it was New Year. So they're actually coming, I believe, next week. So we're going to learn about, our brothers and sisters from down in Haiti. Um, then I have someone coming on explaining. Oh wow, shit, I forgot. It's so many shows lined up, but I know the next show is about Haiti, and then I believe it's the show after that is about why am I single after 40 and how you still can settle down after 40. That's the only two
Mm.
that comes to my mind right now. So you know the time, you know the place. Amsterdam Talk, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. If not, You can always find the replay on YouTube at the HBCUL Network, or you can wait till it comes up on Saturday on Amsterdam Talk, the podcast. That is actually on all streaming platforms. And if you want to hear today's I'll Be Damned again, you can go to all those platforms, or you can go to the actual Amsterdam Talk Instagram page in itself. So thank you again. Our neighbor from the north, Miss Alicia came through from all the way from Calgary, where she said it's minus 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
I was trying to see out a window to see like how really cold it is out there, but it just looks normal.
Oh, it's snowing and it's cold.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, it's snowing and it's cold. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you. If you ever want to come back again, just let us know. We'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, I'd love
Make sure
to.
everything is going on with you. That's going great. So, next week, same time, same place, same channel. For myself, Rod, this is Amsterdam Talk. I'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.